Hi, Professor Worsley here.
Be sure to watch the entire video to learn how you can get a free 16-page bully prevention guide based on over 40 years of experience in schools. To better help you understand the modeling process I'm talking about regarding helping children to know what's clearly expected, I want to be more specific in this little story that I'm going to give you about how I worked with this particularly active class that quite a range in children being able to work with each other and several children having gone through rather traumatic situations. So part of this process was to help them know explicitly how I expected them to work in a group. So what I did first is I asked 5 students to stay during a recess, and of course I asked them if they'd be willing to, and I said that we'd be learning about how to work together in a group, and they would also get some extra credit for participating. So they were excited and agreeable. I had already built a relationship with them, so they were pretty happy about working with me. In their group process, I told them that I was going to participate as a student, as a group member. Now, in order to work as a team, we need to be good listeners. We need to not interrupt each other. And we need to be able to have a goal that we can work together to solve. Make sense? So, the goal is this. We just found out that we're one of the teams that are being chosen to go to the moon on a spaceship. We are really excited to go, but we're only going to have 20 minutes to think about all the things we need to take with us, and whichever group comes up with the best list to take with them on their trip to the moon will survive and will get chosen. So in the group, I took several minutes to talk about how we might work as a group, getting their ideas about how to work as a group. And they came up with some ideas like, well, we maybe need to take turns. And one way to do that is what is called the talking stick. So whoever has the talking stick, that person gets to talk. And we try to work it out so that somebody's monitoring how much time each person has to figure it out. And then if we don't agree with something, it's okay to disagree, but we wait until they finish, and then we have a chance for discussion. During that discussion, then we can try to figure out what we want to do as a team. Now, the thing is here, we want to come to consensus, not by voting, but by agreeing that we want to do something, because that's the way we work as a team. So, for example, some members talked about, well, it's important to be able to survive the trip. So we obviously have to have the oxygen, and then they named some other things. And another student said, when it was his turn, yeah, that's important, but we also, if we don't have all of the safety things in place, that could also kill us. So we identified 3 or 4 important things that we would need to: safety, survival information, who's going to decide when we have to make a difficult decision, how we make those decisions. So we came up with this starting point. We did that in about 10 minutes. After that, they understood that there was a time limit, that we only had a total of 20 minutes. So in order to come to consensus, we may not get everything we like, but we get as much as we can that we agree on. So one student said, well, why don't we first pick out the things we agree on and get those out of the way so we don't have to have an argument about those, which made a great deal of sense. Everybody agreed with that, so there was consensus. So we chose about safety some things, we chose some things under actions we needed to survive, and to survive once we got there, and then we went into other areas. We had about a minute left, and one student says, well, if we haven't agreed to everything, how do we do that first? And I says, well, what do you think? How do we come to consensus? Well, since voting doesn't work, why don't we look at a whole section? We know all the first things we had, which we all agreed on. We put those over here. And then we have this group that we talked a lot about. So which ones can we agree on? So we went through those. We can agree on these. We put those over there. We had about 30 seconds left, and we had these few things left that we weren't sure about. So we worked the same process of how we could agree. And then at this stage, we weren't using the stick. We were just piping in what we need to say. And 15 seconds to go, the person who'd been tracking says, we have to vote on, not vote, we have to decide which ones we want to put over there still. We put 3 more over there, and we said, those are the ones we all agree on. Are we all agreed? Everybody agreed. So we were in consensus about that. So that was an example of a group process that then these students then presented their group process in front of all the other children as a modeling example. The cool thing was that I got to tell them, well, you guys were chosen because you did a great job of collaboration. So now all the students in their different groups had a chance to work together as teams. I knew already that some children were going to have difficulty working with the other children because they had been through a lot. They weren't quite ready for what it took to be in complete consensus. So I teamed up with those students in the same group, and I would help guide them through that process. And it turned out that there was about 6 students who needed to practice a lot more. And I said, well, you know what, you guys are great. We need to practice a little bit more. What would be a good time for you? During lunch, we'll have lunch together and we can do that. They really liked that. So we teamed up together and we worked together, and I could fine tune it with them, modeling more myself individually with them, which made a real difference. So that's an example of a modeling. It can be used in lots of different capacities. For example, modeling how to come into the classroom from the recess instead of arguing. Modeling how to come in the very beginning of the day, having their things ready to go, looking up at the blackboard or the whiteboard and seeing what they need to be ready to start right off at 8:30, and keeping notes for themselves so they know, and walking through that. So that would be another example of modeling. Another example of modeling was, how do you disagree with somebody and not get aggressive? That was an important one. And here is a review of the steps in the modeling process. Number 1, either demonstrate what is expected yourself or have a group of students demonstrate what is expected. Number 2, practice with the class. Number 3, help those who still do not understand in a small group. Here's a little tip here. If several students in the class do not seem to understand what is expected, re-demonstrate again for the whole class. I hope you have a great day.